At just 11 years old, Amira was about to take her very first flight alone. Her parents had hugged her tightly, proud and nervous, as she boarded the plane from London to Paris for a school competition. But what should have been a simple, exciting journey turned into a nightmare she would never forget. When the plane landed, she walked toward the connecting gate, clutching her small pink backpack and her passport with both hands. But then it happened. The gate agent took one look at her, frowned, and tossed her passport into the trash. The crowd went silent. Amira froze. Her heart pounded in her chest. Why would anyone do that to a child? What happened next would shake the entire airline industry. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Amira Johnson had always been the curious one in her class, the girl who asked too many questions, who dreamed of flying planes one day. Her parents encouraged her ambition, telling her she could be anything. She had been chosen to represent her school in an international spelling competition in Paris. It was the proudest moment of her life. Her teachers had arranged every detail: chaperones, flights, documents. Everything was in order. On the morning of her trip, she wore a white hoodie, jeans, and the sparkly sneakers her mom had just bought her. "Don't lose your passport," her dad had said with a smile. She kept it close, as if it were a treasure. When she arrived in Paris, the group split up for their connecting flights. Amira followed the signs to the next gate, humming quietly. But as she reached the counter, the gate agent gave her a long, cold look. "Where are your parents?" the woman asked sharply. Amira explained softly that she was traveling with her school. The woman didn't seem to care. She reached for the passport, flipped through it, then tossed it into the nearby trash can. Amira gasped, stepping back. Around her, adults stared but said nothing. The world suddenly felt too big, too cold, too cruel. Tears welled in her eyes, but Amira didn't cry. Her parents had taught her to stay calm when things felt unfair. She looked up at the woman, her small voice trembling. "Please, that's my passport." The gate agent crossed her arms. "You shouldn't be traveling alone. Go wait over there." Passengers behind her began to murmur. Some looked annoyed, others confused. A few shook their heads, but no one stepped forward. Amira stood alone, small and scared in a sea of strangers. Minutes passed. A security guard approached, towering over her. "What's the problem here?" he asked the agent. "She's traveling alone with a suspicious passport," the woman said. "It doesn't look right." Amira's chest tightened. Suspicious? It was her real passport, British, navy blue, with her smiling picture on it. The guard took the document from the trash and examined it. "It looks fine to me," he said quietly. But the gate agent wasn't done. "Kids these days, you never know where they really come from." The words hit Amira like a slap. She wanted to disappear. The guard sighed. "We'll call her school." While they waited, the agent kept glancing at Amira with that same hard stare, like she was something less than human. Other passengers boarded as if nothing was happening. Finally, one woman, an older passenger, walked over. She knelt beside Amira and whispered, "It's going to be all right, sweetheart." She pulled out her phone and began recording. Within minutes, the situation escalated. The chaperone from Amira's school, who had been on a different flight, rushed to the gate, demanding answers. "Why would you throw a child's passport away?" she asked. The agent shrugged. "I didn't think it was real." "Because she's black?" the chaperone snapped. "Is that it?" The silence that followed said everything. Amira stood quietly as the chaperone retrieved her passport, her small hands shaking. Cameras were now pointed at the agent. Security escorted Amira to her seat, but the damage was done. Her first trip abroad had turned into a public humiliation, a lesson in how cruel prejudice could be, even to a child. When Amira landed back in London days later, the video had already spread across social media. Millions had watched the moment her passport was thrown away. The image of the frightened girl standing at the gate had ignited outrage around the world. Headlines exploded. Airline staff accused of racism after throwing away black child's passport. The airline tried to deny responsibility, calling it a misunderstanding, but people weren't fooled. Thousands demanded justice. Parents shared their own stories. Amira's parents were heartbroken, but proud. "You didn't deserve what happened, sweetheart," her mother said, holding her tight. Within days, the airline suspended the gate agent. Reporters surrounded their house asking to speak to Amira. She didn't want fame. She just wanted people to understand. When a journalist finally interviewed her, Amira spoke softly but firmly. "I just wanted to go to my spelling competition." But she looked at me like I didn't belong. "I didn't do anything wrong." Her words broke the internet's heart. The video of her interview reached millions. Teachers used it in classrooms to discuss racism and empathy. Activists used her story as proof that discrimination didn't care about age. Amira had unknowingly become a symbol. One small girl standing up against a system that tried to erase her. Weeks later, the airline's CEO issued a public apology to Amira and her family. They invited her to visit headquarters to personally express their regret, but Amira didn't go. Her parents politely declined. They didn't want publicity. They wanted change. Her school started a campaign called Every Child Belongs, encouraging airlines to adopt stronger anti-bias training. Within months, several major companies followed. Amira received letters from children across the world, some from Japan, Brazil, South Africa, saying they believed in her courage. Her favorite one came from a little boy who wrote, "You made me brave. Even though she was only 11, Amira understood something adults often forgot. Silence protects the wrong people. She hadn't shouted. She hadn't fought, but her calm defiance had spoken louder than any words. A year later, Amira stood at another airport holding her passport again, this time with confidence. The officer smiled and said, "Have a safe flight." "Young lady," she smiled back, because she knew her story had changed something, maybe not the whole world, but enough to make it a little fairer, a little kinder. As the plane soared through the clouds, Amira pressed her face to the window, watching the world below. She wasn't just flying. She was rising above everything that once tried to hold her down. And somewhere, deep inside, she knew. No one could ever throw away her worth again. How many more Amiras will it take before the world truly learns? Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful, real-life stories like this one. Take care.